Or McCallum, I should say. Vaughn takes it at the 30-yard line. And there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage as Vaughn goes down up at the 47-yard line. That was a 45-yard punt. Holding against Calgary is the call from referee Dave Yule.
Well, some of the times when you got guys and they're not getting downfield that fast.
Calgary 41, first down.
You're wondering why, and Anthony McClanahan is guilty of dragging a guy down before he gets into the field.
Well, good afternoon, I'm Roger.
3:50 is the time remaining in the third quarter, with the Calgary Stampeders clinging to a 3-point lead. Saskatchewan offensive coordinator Gary Hoffman on the headphones now to quarterback Reggie Slack. Hoffman had been talking to the backup quarterback, actually the third-string Saskatchewan quarterback, Steve Sarkisian. He has been wearing the headset most of the game. He's standing there beside Slack and will take the headset back. He established all sorts of school passing records when he was at Brigham Young. He's number 3 on the Rider depth charts behind Reggie Slack, Kevin Mason.
Just a simple dive play. You don't see that very often, but once in a while when the linebackers are playing a little deep, they're going to try and pop one up the middle and try and bust you, make the linebackers play a little honest. So they do. It's just mano on mano right here. Give them the ball deep, 8 yards deep, and let them find a hole.
Well, there was no hole, and he got those 2 yards really on his own effort. It will be 2nd and 8. 3 receivers wide to the left this time. Garcia out of the shotgun. Garcia, whoa, took a hit as he unloaded to Vaughn, and Vaughn is able to take it across midfield. Oh, Garcia paid the price as he released.
Wow. This is contact. I tell you what. Jason Simmons just crunches him. And we have seen Garcia take some severe pops today, yet he gets up like he's just in a pillow fight. And Terry Vaughn is amazing. His legs are pumping. He's like a locomotive. He smells that pay dirt. And Mel is hanging on for dear life.
34 yards on the gain. Simmons popping quarterback Jeff Garcia, but he was able to get up and heads back to the huddle. And down on one knee is Troy Alexander, who had a really standout performance against BC last week and has played well again today. He provides the Riders, according to Coach Jim Daly, with some extra push coming off the edge. That's really his strength rather than being inside.
He is tremendous from the outside, and having played against Troy Alexander last year and seeing him develop is really a nice thing. He's getting confidence. He understands what he has to do to be successful in this league, and he's doing it right now. You know, you can see him getting up there, and he's walking off on his own steam, and that's always a good sign. Saskatchewan is very lucky in the fact that they have Gary Rogers, who has played some defensive line this year, can fill in there, and he's got some good quicks on him too.
But it looks as though Nelson Van Ways is going to come in to take over. Saskatchewan defensively in the secondary, I thought, looked maybe a little confused on that passing play. And you could hear some yelling down on the field. I've got him, make a switch. And that may have resulted in Vaughn being open and being able to catch the pass from Garcia.
Either they don't know what they're doing or they're trying to relay a call, a banjo or switch pattern, as you said. But you're right. They looked a little confused out there, and Vaughn made a nice big play again.
1st and 10 from the Saskatchewan 54-yard line. Fake inside to Calvin Anderson. Oh, and Garcia takes another hit as he throws down the sidelines for Alan Fitz.
Well, Bobby Jurison just cranks him. He's coming all the way from the top of your screen. Just puts another helmet in Jeff Garcia's side. We're not talking headshots here. We're talking the fact that he's coming right across. You see him coming up there. We're talking a helmet in the side, shoulders shoved in the ground. Human bodies are not meant to be screwed into turf, and they're trying to do it to Jeff Garcia today.
Well, we've seen Garcia take a pounding in a number of games here at McMahon Stadium, but he keeps bouncing right back.
He might have to get a new clause in his contract.
Garcia for Danielson. Danielson slips as he tries to make the cut and thus is denied first down yardage. A gain of 7 as Small and Sutton came over to stop Danielson.
And one of the reasons that Coach Jim Daly likes Darnell Small is his speed factor. He originally is fooled by Danielson. Danielson runs a little out pattern. He doesn't stay with him, but his speed allows him to catch up and make the play before Calgary can get a first down.
Yeah, they like his ability to drop back into pass coverage, don't they?
Well, big time. I mean, he hits him right here, and initially he's wide open. You can see Darnell coming for the screen here. He has to make the play, but his quicks allows him to turn that back in where he can get support from the rest of his teammates.
Third down and 4. It's Tony Martino again.
1:40 remaining
Calgary
in the third quarter as Martino comes in for the third down punt. Not a particularly good kick, and there is a no yards flag as Rod Harris fields it and trapped at least 2 members of the Calgary Stampeders inside that 5-yard zone.
And one of the nice things that Saskatchewan did here, they got burned by Tony Martino in the first half. They are not going to get burned again.
No yards. Calgary number 9. First down.
Chris Zarka is told, you stay with the quarterback. I don't care if you're a factor in the return. You stay with the punter. Excuse me. He comes off the left side and just make sure that ball's kicked.
Aldi Henry was called for no yards. It is 1st and 10 Saskatchewan from the 32-yard line. 1:20 the time remaining. Next Sunday, Calgary will travel east to Hamilton. The Hall of Fame game at Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Slack for Harris, incomplete. Eddie Davis was defending against Rod Harris.
Little low, little behind him. Tries to reach back, tries to make the nice catch. Unfortunately, could not squeeze it. Again, the offensive line of Saskatchewan is doing a pretty good job right now. Marvin Pope, you can see working on John Terry at the bottom of your screen. John Terry is just keeping him out, doing a real nice job on Big Daddy Marvin.
After the first half, Slack was 7 of 8. In the second half, he has completed just 1 of 6. Here comes the blitz. There was a whistle prior to Slack trying to set up. This is either a time clock or procedure. It looks like time clock.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan 17.
And this is just emphasizing the fact that it looks like Reg is a little shaken right now. He was in a groove in the first half, as you said. He really is struggling in the second half, and he needs something or some play or some players to make some plays for him to bring him out of this funk so he can start getting on a groove again.
In the first half, I don't recall Calgary blitzing that much, but in the second half, they've been coming after Reggie Slack.
Adjustments.
Here's the blitz. Again, Kalen, the safety, was picked up. Saunders takes the swing pass coming out of the backfield. He tried to take on Coleman and reach out for that first down marker, and they're ruling that he was downed about 4 yards shy.
As you say, Calgary is finding success with this, and they're bringing everybody. They brought John Kalen again. This time Reggie Slack, presence of mind just to dump it off to Mike Saunders. They picked up the blitz. He runs out, and here you see some great effort. Look at this. He's running, does step outside, just trying to stretch it with any ounce of his body to get that first down. You can see John Kalen coming up right in the middle of your screen here. Picked up very nicely by Pooch Hendrickson. I know he's going to love that, but that's his nickname.
28 seconds remaining in the third quarter. McCallum's final kick with the wind. It's a high kick. Not great distance. It's taken on the run by Vaughn, and he is caught almost immediately by Darnell Small. Chris talked about the running ability of Darnell Small and how he can cover in a passing defense. He can also get downfield quickly on special teams.
Well, when he got in with us last year in Winnipeg, that's all he ever got an opportunity to do was to play special teams. And that's how young kids coming up in this league make their mark. You have to go through the order. One of the orders is you have to play special teams. The more you can do on this team is the longer you're going to play for them.
This will probably be the final play of the third quarter. All the scoring in this football game occurred in the first 30 minutes. 17-14. Calgary leads. On the sidelines, Calvin Anderson can't make the catch. He was open, but couldn't squeeze the football.
And again, we're having a little bit of conversation down there. Dale Joseph and Todd McMillan are trying to get things sorted out right now so they don't have that happen again.
15 minutes remaining in this battle for third place in the West. Well, this Saskatchewan-Calgary battle has developed into a real defensive struggle, particularly in the third quarter. The score remains unchanged from the halftime break, and statistically, you can see that there isn't much to choose between these two teams. 3 turnovers by Saskatchewan have contributed to the Calgary lead. 1 resulted in a touchdown following an interception by William Hampton. And then when Saskatchewan failed to cover on 3rd down and Martino was able to scamper up the middle, they wound up with the field goal that put them in front just before the half ended. 17-14. Calgary now with the wind at their back on the 2nd and 10 play from their own 41. 4 receivers left. Wide open over the middle is Danielson, and Danielson will take it deep into Saskatchewan territory down to the 25-yard line.
They tried to come back with this. This was the original 3-man rush, drop 9, try and find somebody. This is definite. We've talked that they look like they're getting a little miscommunication out there. There was definitely a breakdown. The middle of your field is wide open up here. Danielson's wide open. Your DBs are supposed to cover at least one guy, and they have a couple floaters. Breakdown.
44 yards to Vince Danielson. He's now caught 6 for 78 yards. Calvin Anderson takes the handoff, and he'll get 2 tough yards, stopped by Troy Alexander.
Calgary tries to put 4 guys out to the left here, pull everybody in coverage, pull one of the linebackers out to cover one of the slots, hopefully get a seam, hit Anderson up the middle. There's no linebacker there. Nice job by the backside defensive end, again making a good play. You can see him right here. He stays at home and doesn't go with the fake, comes back in, makes a nice hit on Anderson.
3 receivers left this time as Garcia empties the backfield. Here comes the pressure. Wide open is Calvin Anderson. Touchdown, Calgary.
Well, definite confusion here. Dale Joseph he's pretty livid out there right now. And the fact that Terry Vaughn ran what I almost thought was just a touch of a pick. He's kind of picked one of the guys. Left Anderson wide open. Somebody's got to switch. Somebody's got to see that. They got to play at different levels. You can't be caught up where you're getting picked in those situations. Easy touchdown. That's the easiest drive Calgary's had since the opening one this game.
Well, we had Vince Danielson wide open over the middle, and now wide open Calvin Anderson for the major score as Calgary enjoys its biggest advantage of the football game, 10 points with the Mark McLaughlin convert. 24-14, Calgary leads the Stampeder kickoff when we return. A simple up and out, and he caught Saskatchewan in a defense that wasn't prepared for such a play.
Well, Saskatchewan's trying to take a gamble. They're trying to bring some guys here, but what happens is you have to switch. Somebody's got to switch for the 2 guys. You got 2 receivers to the right. You got Terry Vaughn, and you got way over in the corner here, which you can see right here. You got Anderson, and I think the safety is supposed to come over and pick him up.
Mayfield on the kick return puts his head down and drives up to the 29-yard line. Aldi Henry was there to make the tackle. A 67-yard kickoff, just 22 yards on the return.
67 yards on the kick for Mark McLaughlin, and we do have a Rider player down.
It took the Stampeders only 4 plays to cover the 69 yards for the Calvin Anderson touchdown, and a 24-14 lead with 13:10 remaining in the 4th quarter. Paul Ferlin is the injured Saskatchewan Roughrider, resulting in the delay. He's primarily been used on special teams. He's a backup linebacker.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen over at the Saskatchewan bench right now, because you cannot live in a 4th quarter where you play so well for 3 quarters defensively and have 2 major breakdowns in one drive and give up what is an easy touchdown where nobody's covering the back. You got to make adjustments to that right now and get this straightened out, or else it's going to be a long 4th quarter for you. And you can see them over there. They are having a discussion. There's defensive coordinator Greg Marshall talking to him, trying to make sure we can get this worked out.
You can't always rely on the other guy to tell you to do something. You got to see what's going on. We had 3 busts, and that's how he got the goddamn touchdown. Gary, you got to come out on Edmonton. It's a 5-man rush. rush. You got to come off. Right? You come a linebacker. Will linebacker, Edmonton, four-man rush. The first play over there on that side. At the end of the third quarter, we were in 50. We call Edmonton. You got to come out. Okay? We got to communicate on the switch if you say something.
Well, we thought there were some breakdowns defensively for Saskatchewan, and as you heard from Greg Marshall, who is the defensive coordinator, there were 3 of them on that series.
We only caught 2 of the major ones, so there's obviously another one in that series, but they have to get that straight, and I think that's what the frustrating part as a coach is right now they've played so well defensively for the first three quarters and a bit of the fourth, and they don't want to fold their tents now and make mistakes that will cost them this game.
Well, fortunately for Paul Furlan, the graduate of St. Francis Xavier, who is a draft choice in 1996 by Saskatchewan, he is able to get up and walk off to the Rider bench. Fake inside by Slack. He throws to the outside for Narcisse. He can't make the catch. Narcisse has only 1 reception so far in the ball game, extending his consecutive game streak to 174. He was telling me yesterday that there hasn't been a game during that time where it's come down to the final couple of minutes of a football game where he had to catch a pass. He said, most times I get one in the opening quarter.
You know what? And I did look at his stats. He's only got 4 catches in the fourth quarter of any of these games when it was coming down to that making that catch. So he's always had it in the first 3 quarters.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Narcisse open on the sidelines, trying to get the first down, but it looks as though he's going to be stopped a yard short, depending on where they spotted. Al Jordan came over to make the tackle. Look at this. 110 of his catches in the opening quarter. Only 4 times has he caught a pass in the fourth quarter.
But we still want to see him. I think Saskatchewan still has to get him involved in this game. They've gone to him. They tried to go to him deep once, but he's been relatively unheard of. He's got 1 catch, as you say. When you got a guy of his game-breaking ability, he was a leading receiver last week, you've got to start using him, get him in the offense.
Only 4 times has he caught a pass in the fourth quarter to keep that streak alive. He's caught other passes in the fourth quarter, but he previously had caught the ball in the first, second, or third. Saunders on the 3rd down gamble powers his way to a first down. That game at Skydome is now final with an update. Here's Scotto.
Yeah, Don, it ended a few moments ago, but perhaps not soon enough for the Ticats. 34-9 the final in favor of the Argos, who had the league's best record now of 10-2. And in their last 4 games, they have outscored their opponents 172-38. That would sound like a team that's got it going on both offense and defense, would it not?
Well, that's a powerful Argonaut team. There are a lot of people feel it's a much stronger squad than the one that won the Grey Cup last year. And Doug Flutie is really having a field day in the last few weeks against every team he lines up against.
He's doing extremely well. And the 2 other guys, Eric Mitchell has given him such a weapon at the slot back position.
Daryl Mitchell.
Daryl Mitchell.
Eric did pretty well too.
Well, I know them all. You have a computer for a brain. It's tough sometimes. And of course, Robert Drummond, who is just having another outstanding campaign.
Ernie Brown is the injured Calgary Stampeder. This has been a very physical contest. Brown will have to go out for at least 3 plays. Brown had to try out with Saskatchewan. He was at their training camp in both 95 and 96. Put on a few more pounds. Wally Buono liked what he saw from him this year. And as a result, Brown earned a spot inside. He's very strong inside. He and Ronzel Miller really provide some push up the middle. Raymond Biggs comes in as a replacement with Brown out with the injury. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. The Riders at their own 42-yard line. Slack fakes. Now he's going deep, looking for Harris. Incomplete. Davis was back defending against him. Harris had to slow up for that ball. It was slightly underthrown by Slack.
It was. It's the 2nd time, and what happens as a receiver is you want to catch it. They always say it's circus catch, but you want to catch the ball as you're running. You can see him right now. He's pumping the ball up right here. Harris has to turn and come back and look at the ball. He wants to keep running. Now, anytime You turn back. That gives that guy a man coverage. This time, Davis a chance to knock the ball away.
Good pump fake initially by Slack that enabled Harris to streak down the right side.
And great protection by the offensive line.
Slack on second down, looking over the middle. Now he's flushed out of the pocket. Now he dumps it off, trying to put that touch pass into the hands of Chris Zarka, and it was knocked away from him. That's tough, rolling out to try and throw that little touch pass. Calgary's only rushing 3 guys here. His offensive line is giving him great protection at the time. But what happens, though, is even though they're giving him good protection, his field of vision is cloudy. So he goes outside the pocket to try and find some room and tries to feather a pass to Chris Zarka. Now, that was a good touch by Reggie Slack, but unfortunately, he hasn't worked a lot with Chris Zarka. Chris Zarka kind of stepped and stopped and then looked and came back. And that makes it hard for a quarterback to really figure out where he's actually going to be on that pattern. Paul McCallum punting into the wind in the 4th quarter. Coleman waits for it. No yards will be called against Saskatchewan. Not much doubt about that. A 44-yard punt by Paul McCallum. Henry and Rasevich were both there.
And I tell you, one of the nice things that I like,
No yards. Saskatchewan 42. First down.
as they say, how critical is that coin toss at the beginning of the game? That just shows the example of it right now. When you're booting into the wind, your cover team can't judge it. You take 15-minute penalties. It just hurts your team, but there's nothing you can do. That's just the way it falls.
10:21 is the time remaining. The Stamps in front by 10. Saskatchewan defensive coordinator Greg Marshall liked what he saw from his team in the 3rd quarter, but when they changed ends, 3 breakdowns enabled the Stampeders to march the ball up the field and put it in the end zone.
And that's why you play 4 quarters of football. You got to play 60 minutes. They got to make some adjustments right now, and this is a key drive for them.
And again, the pass is completed to Vince Danielson. We talked about Terry Vaughn being the go-to guy earlier. Vince Danielson is now the key man for Jeff Garcia.
There seems to be some confusion still in that backfield, the defensive backfield of Saskatchewan, and the fact that they're bringing the wide receivers in and slanting the slot.